Welcome to the instant reaction. Woo! Spurs 2, Arsenal 3 at the Spurs Stadium. That was incredibly intense, incredibly stressful, but we got the 3 points. Bhavs has joined. I'm joined by Bhavs. Apologies. I can't even speak. I can't even think. That was so stressful. Wow. We got through it. 3 points.
Yeah, we got through it. And yeah, listen, actually towards the final 5 minutes, which might sound a bit weird, I kind of felt a bit calm. And the reason why I said that is because I'm like, if we've come far from last season, if we've actually learned from this whole April and struggling and bottling it, when you've gone 3-0 up and you've conceded 2 mistakes, you're gonna hold on, and if you don't hold on, you're not ready. So it was one of those where it was a test and we passed it, and then 3 points, we're back top of the league, or we're still top of the league, and now it's Nottingham Forest FC, we're by far the greatest team the world's ever seen.
Of course. Yeah, we look forward to that. Yeah, it was an incredibly stressful game. Look, I'm really pleased we got the 3 points. I think there's a lot of good aspects to this performance, a lot of maybe less good. I don't know. It's
Bad.
well, I don't know what to say bad. I think it was a bit of a weird game in
Very weird.
The first half. We were second to everything for so long, but we were 3 up. So you were kind of going, is that the hallmark of champions? You pull out all those classic punditry lines about, we're playing poorly, but we're still winning, so whatever. So it's a weird one because I don't think we showed our best face, but and it was an incredibly stressful game. But equally, we gave them both their goals.
Yeah.
And you could there's 100% a read on this game where we gave them both their goals and we shut up shop, we stopped Spurs playing with the high line, which is their stop them essentially doing their best stuff, and showed another face of Arsenal this season. So that there's different reads on this game, and I don't quite know where I sit at the minute.
Yeah, most of the bad I was going to say. No, it's stressful. Of course it is. Most of the bad, when I say it's not a generic term of Arsenal being bad over the course of the season. It was the fact that the performance wasn't at the high standards we'd seen. But even you go back to the game against Chelsea, we won that game 5-0 and it comes out as amazing. But the first half wasn't that good in terms of we had a few. Yeah. And a lot of it is down to fatigue. A lot of it is down to the fact that we're at the stage of the season where the players are knackered and they're not as sharp as they once were, midway through the season. And I totally understand it. So I'm not going to have a go at the players, nor a go at Rice or Raya for the mistakes, especially the Rice one, because it's a very honest mistake. But, I think actually, Mikel Arteta, where we lose a game, we've all said it, often hear the phrase of we lost the game in the boxes. That was the game that we won in the boxes.
Yeah. Yep. No, I completely agree. And I think the point you make about Spurs as well, because there's a read on this again. Spurs have essentially had what is a winter break in the middle of the season. So what you lose, I think people kind of they say, oh, you're going to be out of you're going to be out of form, whatever, or you're not sharp. What you might lose is the patterns and your touch, but you don't lose your physicality. Like you don't lose that. That was, and you could see that sharpness in the first half. They were quickly out to us. Every second ball was theirs. They were at, every time we got the ball, someone was at them, pressing them. Maddison was quick to them. Rodrigo Bentancur was quick to them. All these players. So, credit to them, because I thought they actually used their game plan, suited their preparation, if you see what I mean, in terms of, the time that they had was clearly spent basically recharging the batteries and going again. I think Arsenal, I don't think we're, you could look at that game and think, oh, Arsenal are, behind it physically. I actually don't think we are. I think we're at a normal state physically that you should be at this time of the season, having played that many games. But Spurs literally had a winter break in the middle of the season, and they used that well, and credit to them. So maybe there's, again, this is the thing with the instant reaction. You're kind of trying out narratives and seeing how they work. And, again, there's a possible narrative here that Arsenal knew that, and knew that Spurs were going to come out and be quick to us and be at us very, very quickly and win all the second balls. So actually we're compact defensively and, pulled out another really strong defensive performance.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those where it was a lot of, if you give Mikel Arteta 2 weeks to prepare for a game, we're most likely going to win that game. So you give that to any other top managers like Ange and Spurs are a good side. They had a bit more time and you're allowed to prepare specific game scenarios. You can tell it. You can see how they were. That was the closest game we've had for a while. But also this is a team fighting for top 4. They ain't mid-table like Chelsea are. They're a lot higher. So it was always going to be a difficult game. And the fact that we were 3-0 in the first half was the weird thing. Because it wasn't a 3-0 game. It wasn't a 3-0 game. But it's almost, we'll get to the stage where everything we're doing is automatic. It's the hard work over the course of the season, those training sessions where it all becomes, for example, the goal that he scored in the first half of the offside, that's just hours on the training ground, coaching yourself to clear the box after a corner, paying off in very fine margins. So we're just, reaping those rewards and in the most important part of the season. And now April is, I'm pretty sure that was the last game in April. Last game of April, we've won 5 league games, I'm pretty sure, 5 out of 6.
Something like that, yeah.
Or is it 4 out of 5? And if that is the case, then this whole narrative that Arsenal are bottling it has to be put to one side, especially after that game there. Because we were 3-0 up. We made 2 mistakes, and you're thinking, we're going to do it again. Like last year, West Ham, Liverpool. But this time we held on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that was the game maybe that, we all dream of, 38 games in a season. But again, what's so encouraging is we played the game that was in front of us. We played the game where the opposition are at it. They're quick. They're out to us quickly. And we, I was so impressed by some of the defending, the way we stopped them creating any kind of chances. The 2 goals they scored were a mistake and 2 mistakes essentially from us. That's how they scored. They had probably 1 clear-cut chance from open play, I would say, and maybe I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think
it's more from set pieces than anything.
It was all from set pieces. It was all from corners. It was all from that sort of stuff. So they were really struggling. They were really struggling to create against us. So yeah, maybe we should come to some of the individual performances, and before we sort of come back to the game as a whole. David Raya, I thought had a bit of a mixed game in terms of he had some good moments. His cross claims in the second half were really, really strong and helped us. Obviously had that moment where, the game could have possibly swung one way or the other. But I think overall it was a good game from him.
It was perfectly fine. And I say that because people go, he made the mistake. But players will make mistakes, especially goalkeepers. We've seen it with Alisson and Edison, so the 2 very best. How do you respond? Now, if Ramsdale makes some mistakes, we've seen it at times where sometimes he grows and sometimes he doesn't, and he sinks. I think Raya making his biggest error of the season so far in what has been, what was a very tough game, to then hold on and, compose himself. And after that moment, it was perfectly fine. His kicking even improved. He found a lovely pass to Martinelli, and his cross-claiming is exactly what you want from a keeper in that specific moment. Because you've put yourself in there is what it is. How do you respond to it? And I think we caught perfectly fine.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, in that first half, I think the connection between him and Havertz. I think the first thing we did was pull Havertz onto Ben Davies, and we're trying to find him with David Raya, which I think was a nice.
Saw it with the opening 5 minutes where he headed to Odegaard and he was in behind.
Yeah, 100%. I think that was a nice touch. But I would say that connection was slightly severed over the course of the game. And I think we started in the second half. He was more trying to play out to Saka, and Saka was doing a lot better to hold the ball up. So he definitely improved over the course of the game. Obviously, he made the mistake, but I always think about it with mistakes. If over the course of the season you said, okay, Raya's going to make one error that doesn't cost us, doesn't lose us a game, do you accept it? You probably do. So, obviously no one wants a mistake, but equally, I don't think we're going to want to go too hard.
I don't think you also, just to make it clear, the players don't intend to make the mistake,
No, they do, Bhavs.
So
they do.
They're not going right. Ryan's like, you know what? Game's 3-0, a bit boring. Let me spice it up. We were about to go 7 games without conceding an away goal. I'm sure he was devastated by it. But you look at his reaction after conceding the goal, and it, obviously anger and frustration, but it's not as emotional. And I think, massive part to where Arsenal are different to last year is if we get ourselves into difficult scenarios, which every team ends up in, how do you respond in those? How do you cope? And it's like, even Mikel on the touchline after, was it 3-2, he's going like, calm down. Because he knows his players are prepared for it. So it's actually, in a way, it became a test that we needed, and we passed it.
Yeah, and you can see him immediately after the mistake. He's going, "That was me." We move on.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Ben White. Did you see that clip? We go around of Ben White pulling on Vicario.
Yeah, no, I clocked it in the moment. Because it's like, Ben White's a very intrusive person. You can tell he's got a lot of intrusive thoughts, and he's like, "Yeah, do you know what? And it's perfect. It's exactly what we need." And the goal itself, even the second corner we scored, he was in front of the keeper, so that's a massive part. And he's finding new ways to annoy keepers. It's not just standing there anymore. It's I'm going to poke this, I'm going to poke that. Next time, maybe he might just drop a fart or something. Like he might just stick his hand. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that in the Athletic articles. Like he finds ways. He's a menace. He's a menace.
Ben White eats beans before the game and stuff. Yeah, just doing all the goalkeepers. Yeah, it's all tactical. Yeah, yeah. Saliba Gabriel, I thought were stretched, but not as in they were asked questions of, which they're normally not as much as today. But I thought they did well with what they did. I don't have loads to say on them. I think I said this on our last instant reaction. When you do an instant reaction every week and you go through the same players, you find yourself saying certain things. You find there's players you talk about and have different conversations around. Saliba and Gabriel tend to have the same performance every time. Steady. I thought, they didn't have much time on the ball, to be honest. There wasn't loads of time where Saliba and Gabriel was stood in build up, looking for options. I thought they dealt well with the stuff over the top. They dealt well with Son. They got dragged out to wide areas at points. They did well. So yeah, I was pleased with the performance. Tomiyasu, I think, struggled a bit. Not his best performance. Why do you think that is?
He looks a bit offbeat. I don't think he's playing with an injury. You can never be too sure, especially with Tomiyasu. But I think he's up against a good winger. I think Kulusevski's a good wide forward, but he looked a little bit off pace. Just a step behind him. But look, he stood strong. He didn't suffer, and I think as the game got on, he did kind of improve as well. But yeah, definitely that first half he was struggling. And I actually kind of feel like we missed presence like Zinchenko on the ball in that first half.
Yes,
where someone who's willing to go, okay, these men are going to jump on me, I'm going to play through it. And there is a player actually that's started a game today against Liverpool that's got that Zinchenko type of play, but he's also as reliable as Tomiyasu defensively and Yuri and Timber to return soon. So it was one of those games where you could definitely tell Tomiyasu is not the ball player we need in these types of games, and I don't think Mikel Arteta was going to throw Zinchenko with that 3-2. There's no chance about that. But I think it was a performance he grew into, but definitely not his best.
Yeah. Every time the ball went down that side, it just felt like he got bypassed.
It was loose.
He was protecting the space fine, but when he got asked questions 1v1, I was concerned. Again, I will go back to, I think Spurs in their game plan were just, when we were sat in our sort of compact block and they're outside our shape, every time we got the ball, they pounced straight away. And I think Tomiyasu was one of those who sort of maybe it's just, again, he's not miles off it, but if you've got a team who've essentially just had a winter break, they're going to be quicker than you. So, it's just is what it is.
That press, my idea was actually, it didn't work out like this, but it was like, let them jump in the first half and see if they tie in the second.
Yeah, and they did. There was points in the second half where you could see them slightly sat further off. I think maybe the first half of the second half before the mistake, you could see that Spurs weren't. There was a moment where Rice and Partey just knocking it back and forward against each other. And
that was funny.
And Spurs are sat deep and just wait for us to do something. You can't keep that up the whole game. So games go through different phases and moments. The midfield, I didn't think they had the most effective game. I was looking pre-game in terms of the lineup. And I was looking at, what was it, Bentancur, Højbjerg, and Maddison. I was thinking, if we can win the duels, we win this game. But because they sat so high and jumped on us and didn't allow us to turn, the places where you think Rice and Partey and Odegaard can kind of exert their impact, which is in that middle third, they weren't playing there. They were playing sort of on the edge of our box quite a lot. So I think we couldn't really exert that impact and that dominance, really. But I thought they did okay as a sort of three. Partey got caught in transition a couple of times. It's just kind of a risk and reward with Partey in the same way as Zinchenko. If you want that, if you want what they give you, you're going to have to take a few moments where they might get caught on the ball. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, and when it works, it's amazing when he's just able to glide through a few players and flick it past a few people. And we're business as well. And he definitely feels like in the last two games, we've been able to get the ball to the final third a bit better. So there is benefits to it. And in a game like this, actually, it was kind of needed. But it is what it is.
Yep. By the way, thank you for super chats. We'll come to them just after we've done the play-by-player. And thank you so much for being here. There's nearly 1,500 of you in the chat watching live, so appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe. Yes, Odegaard. Yeah, I didn't think. I thought actually in the final third was again. He's developed this. I don't know, just kind of telepathic connection with Saka and White on that right hand side, and you saw it again. I think Havertz as well is started to get in on that dynamic a little bit and create a little. Come to Havertz in a minute. I thought a brilliant game. But yeah, I think Odegaard was great in the final third. We kind of missed his on ball presence in the middle, but I think that's not what the game was played, as you said earlier. It was kind of played in the two boxes or outside the two boxes. Very, very transitional, and I think that was credit to Spurs. They made us not play in the middle of the park, which is where we absolutely kill teams. Rice, maybe we should come to the penalty incident. I thought it was harsh. And maybe I'm biased, but
yeah, look, it's one of those where definitely, as an Arsenal fan, if it was against us, I'd be calling for it because there's reasons to give it. Right? There's always reasons to give it. It's not like it's not a penalty, but it's harsh because it's an honest mistake. He's not going to foul the player. He's going to kick the ball, and the ball's been taken off him before. But we've seen that given. What I found surprising was where the ref stood. The ref was in front of it, literally like a meter away. Him seeing that and going, I don't think it's a penalty. I think that should tell you all you need to know. Because if he had players in between him and he was blocked off, his view was blocked off, maybe something else. But I think what it was one of those where VAR was like, we have to give this. And also, there's the narrative as well. I'm pretty sure at times it plays in the people's minds of, if we can make this game 3-2, the figures might go up a little bit.
Yeah, and you can hear Neville going, the expected ooze today.
Oh, the expected ooze are very high. There were a lot of ooze as well. Because they need that. They need that, the 3-2. Because look, at 3-0, when Arsenal are passing it in the halfway line, back and forwards, and the fans are chanting, and the Spurs, the whole second half started, and the Spurs stadium was empty. It was completely empty. So they need the game to, because then obviously all the rival fans as well that clicked off the hate watching go, hang on a minute, let me go back onto this. It is what it is. But I think it was a pen, but it was harsh.
Yeah. And it can't have been the halftime pints because they fill so quickly, Bhavs, at the stadium. So they, how could they couldn't have been in long queues. It must have gone. Look, like it probably was. I suppose what I'm saying is, it's annoying that that's a pen because he's literally not. He doesn't know where the player is. I don't know.
It's not a foul. I don't see that as a foul.
It's probably a penalty, but is it a foul? Yeah. If that was anywhere else on the pitch, anyway. Let's move forward to let's do Saka and Trossard first. Who do you want to take?
I'll take the easier one. That was definitely better by a mile than Bukayo Saka. I think it was a fantastic performance. One of his best in a while. And the fact that he, the amount of time he took on Davis is not a surprise. He's a much better player than him. But it's the finish and the celebration more than anything. The cup in there. That's what I like, Bukayo. That's what I want, Bukayo. Because it's weird because over social media, and players definitely check social media, he has become a bit of a villain at times. It's weird. There's a sense of hate around him. It doesn't make sense. He's not really a person to be hated. But now he knows that's the case. Let's go. We're not a nice guy anymore. We're gonna go and make sure we celebrate and make sure people realize that his 15 goals this season. 15 goals is the highest he's had. And exactly. So it's time to let people know how good he is. And it was a really, really top performance. And I love the way we scored that second goal. Where Spurs I think they had a few penalty shouts, and we go overhead and we just killed him. And Havertz's pass. We'll get to Havertz in a second. But Havertz's pass. Yeah. Something's that was sublime. That was sensational. But we'll go to Trossard, who I wasn't quite sure about.
Well, I thought just quickly on Saka as well. He just looks so clinical now in the final third. It doesn't feel like a young player anymore.
He looks calm.
There's a composure. There's a kind of. He's always had pitches in his mind, but you can see when he's got that ball on his left and he's sort of toying with the fullback. He's got so many options in his mind, and he's going right. I can take you there. I'm waiting for your move. Cuts his side. The sort of reverse passes and stuff. He's becoming. We've wanted inevitability from someone in this team, and Bukayo Saka is beginning to show that. So yeah, credit to him. Trossard. A lot of hate for Trossard. I'm not saying he had an amazing game, but I actually thought defensively Trossard was really good. I thought defensively,
I think most of our team was good defensively.
Yeah. Maybe that's sort of part of it, but I thought he helped out Tomiyasu on that left-hand side and did well getting back. I don't think he was particularly effective in the final third, but there were some people saying he had an absolute stinker, and I don't really see that personally. I don't think he was effective, as I say, but I didn't think he did anything wrong or right. I just thought that, and actually in my halftime review of the players on X, I say it was sparkling because I thought out of possession he was really, really good in that first. He sort of faded in the second and became a bit of a nothing player before Martinelli came on. But I don't know. I don't have a massively strong opinion on him, whereas some people seem to think he had a horrendous game.
I think the stinker comes from the fact that he made a few mistakes in our own half, giving the ball away a few times, and it's like, oh my god, he's giving the ball away. Yeah, that's an awful performance. But yeah, I don't think it was amazing for any means. I think it was a pretty mid performance, but it's totally fair. I don't expect him to be all the best all the time, and that's why he's not going to be a guaranteed starter going into the future. But he did his job defensively, and we won the game.
Yep. Let's do it then. Kai Havertz. Oh. By the way, he's just put out a tweet. Of that meme of when you get like an AI of the guy coming out of the stadium. He's posted it. Unbelievable. Kai Havertz was terrific. Centre forward play, held the ball up, was a nuisance all game. That pass for the Saka goal, his runs in behind. He looks really calm, composed. He looks like a grown up. Is what he looks like. He looks like a grown up in that team. He was man of the match for me. I thought Havertz was extraordinary and got another goal. I mean, he's the sort of player who, what we're hearing is, he might be changing our transfer plans for the summer. If you've got someone who can play number 9 to that level, you want to platform your kind of your superstar wingers. He's the sort of player that you go, do we need to go and spend 130 million on Victor Osimhen? Do we need to go and spend 110 million on Evan Ferguson when you have someone who is objectively showing you over a big sample size now that he has what it takes? He's a terrific player.
Do you know when you watch Havertz this season, there's been a lot of I'd say there's been a few, not recently, but a few pity performances. And like in terms of when he does anything somewhat decent, we go, wow, that's amazing, because you want to hype him up a little bit more. This was different. This game I was actually wild at times. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like there was this thing before we scored our goal, a second goal maybe, or no, a third goal, where he picks the ball up in his own half and flicks over someone and I was like, wow. Like that's amazing. And the amount of times he fired the ball up to him and he just killed it first time. And it's so effortless. He's so smooth, and he scored a goal as well. And his movement was fantastic. He held the ball up so nicely. What else could you have wanted from a centre forward's performance? Yeah. Like honestly, it was, and the amount of times he won free kicks, there was a moment right towards the end he won a free kick again. Like it was a really, really strong centre forward's performance, and I was really like shocked at how good it was. So when I talk about the summer plans and potentially changing it, it makes sense. Why? Because the performances aren't a joke. We ain't talking about just a few goals and that's it. Goals is something else, but it's the rest of his performance. It's the platform he gives to other players. Victor Osimhen would be amazing, and so would Isak and players like that. But they won't give Saka and our wide forwards or Odegaard the same platform. They won't give that platform. And if Havertz is scoring the goals as well, by the way, which I think that's now 13 goals this season, 13 goals in total and 12 in the league, and he's only playing up front in the second half of the season. What we're seeing now is the chaos that he was causing, starting up front early in the season, that he wasn't getting the goals from. He's now starting to score, and his confidence, the pass that he plays there to Saka, Havertz in the first half of the season don't play that because he's too scared to give the ball away. But now he goes, I believe in myself. I'm back to my confident self of what we saw about Leverkusen for years and years, and I can play that pass because he's got the quality. And when you hear Dimitar Berbatov say that he thinks Havertz is the most similar player to him, when you see the way he's so effortless and smooth with the ball, I can see why.
Yeah, just looking at his numbers now. Yes, 12 goals and 6 assists in the league in 34 matches, but where, by the way, he played most of that not most of that, probably half of that in the midfield. He's still 24. He's still 24, and this is a player who can still develop and still move forward. And I think, look, there will be people who say we need a goal scorer, we need that 30 goal a season guy. Arsenal are on. I think Arsenal's goal difference is more than United have points. Our problem isn't scoring goals. It isn't anymore. So if you want that number 9 goal scorer, he needs to bring other things to the table. He needs to to be either Erling Haaland, where you go, well, I can bank on that then, in terms of goals, or he needs to be someone who can platform our centre forward, our wing players even better. And as you say, it's really key to what we do. And I just, if we're going to remodel our attack, for me, that left-hand side is looking more and more like the key area, because if we're going to keep Gabi Jesus around, we're going to keep Kai Havertz around. I wouldn't mind signing maybe a younger striker. Even looking at Chido Obi, the numbers he's putting up in the U18s. Why not? Let's have a look at him. But what we need, I think, comes on that left hand side now. The more I think about it, and the more things that develop. So, if we're signing a striker to score 30 goals, I think that's a mistake.
I think the thing that Arsenal fans want, and they think it's a striker, they want inevitable goals. A player that in the Champions League, like Erling Haaland turned up last season, he gives you that inevitable goal. And we've got a few goal scoring players, and Saka can do it at times, and we're growing into that role. But I don't think we have that inevitable player just yet. Now you can develop that. Havertz might become that with more confidence, and this is only in the second half of the season. Saka will become that in my eyes. Odegaard might become that. But that goal scorer doesn't have to come down the middle. We don't have to. That striker actually nowadays can be a better player who can also score his goals. Havertz is a very good mix. We know he's got the link up play. He can finish as well. He's not a bad finisher. He can score goals. He's not as inevitable as maybe Erling Haaland, but his numbers right now are very good. So I think, if we're looking for a wide forward or a goal scorer, I'm looking more to the left hand side. And we talked about Rashford, and players like that, but just someone on that left hand side, either a Martinelli or someone more inevitable, and fixing that instead. And even Olsen said that our priority now is to fix the midfield, or improve the midfield. Sorry, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and we'll I'm sure we'll discuss that more on the kind of podcast anon. Wayne Jenkins, thank you so much for your contribution. Gary Neville and Sky can swivel on it. Bias Central. Shiam says, without Speedy Gonzalez, De Ven, we could have had 6 or 7. Yeah, I thought Gonzalez. I thought Van de Ven. Gonzalez, De Ven. Cool name, that. Gonzalez de Ven.
Yeah.
He's rapid, mate. He is rapid. He'll be off to Madrid or something at some point. Don't you worry about that. And finally, Mohamed Basha, thank you so much for your contribution. The super chat is dedicated to the fact it's now almost impossible to score against us when we're in our resting defense position. Wow, we are. Poor style. We are defensively. We're so solid. It's when the ball goes out to the wide area, the automation of the sort of the winger jumping, the central player sort of tucking inside to create the sort of the difficulty to pass inside, and the fullback stepping up. You see it every single time. The timing of that, of like specifically on the right hand side with White, Saka, and Ødegaard, in terms of how they tuck in and protect the center and then force you back. It's just so good and it's so consistent, and teams just can't get through it. It's amazing. Bhavs, we've missed something out. We've missed something out. Say again.
Forest nearly scored.
Oh, nearly scored. Okay.
Nearly scored.
Okay, I thought you said Forest have scored, which I would have screamed. Destructor, thank you so much for your contribution. Never change Arsenal. Never a boring
I think
game.
they beat us on this, by the way. I definitely feel they beat us on this. So Spurs.
Here we are.
Yeah. Do you know what?
What was the point?
This is what I'll say, Spurs, right? Spurs faithful, whatever they call themselves, Tottenham Hotspur, whatever, right? Take this as something to look forward to, something to take from the game, a positive note, and use it against Man City. As little brothers of North London, we need your help now. We need your support. Use this against Pep. Do your judo or your hudo, whatever you need to do, make sure, whatever it's called, do your thing there and get a result. Take your anger out against them.
Please. Yeah,
Could you imagine if Spurs do that? I think Spurs fans would boo that. I think Spurs fans would generally boo that.
Maybe, but to hand us the title, that'd be so. But I kind of want them to be in it, because Aston Villa are running away with it now, man.
No, but they're not, though, because I think Spurs have got quite a few games in hand. So even with this game, I think it's still like they're 7 points off, I think, or something like that. But they've got 2 games in hand. They had 3 before this game.
Can you see my screen for the table?
Yeah, I can see your screen. So 2 games in hand.
2 games in hand. Okay, so they're still in it.
So that's what I'm saying. They're still in it. If they win their 2 games in hand and they're a point off that place, and Villa will drop points. Emery's teams at this stage will always drop points. I guarantee it. Right? Yeah. They will give him a sniff.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, bro. Listen, Spurs, I believe in your project. I believe what Ange can do. just hold on to it. I'm pretty sure one of the games in hand. One of the games in hand is Man City. I'm pretty sure, or maybe I think it is. So if it is Man City.
So hang on, what are the Spurs fixtures coming up? They've got some. Yeah. They go away to Chelsea next Thursday. Yeah. They go away to Liverpool. Yeah. They're at home against Burnley. Yeah. They are at home against City. They go away to Sheffield United. They go away to Newcastle.
That's what I'm saying. So
interesting.
Listen, they've got something that I believe they can get top 4, and if they would, imagine the day that they beat City to give us a title. That
would be glorious.
That you could not write it better.
They beat us on field tilt, so is it even worth it?
That's what I said. Look, they should take it as a positive note.
To finish the show, we'll come to your comments and questions. So please get anything into the chat that you would like us to talk about. We'll come to as many as we can. Saeed TV says 3 points is ready for you at Old Trafford. Okay.
Saeed's giving it to us.
Yeah. Okay, mate. We have the
Balassi. They won us with the league title.
The Balassi cosign. I wonder what Balassi said. Next. When I hear Gary Neville commenting, I have to cover my ears. This guy's so hateful towards Arsenal. I think what it is they just want a narrative. You've got to remember that, and understandably, if you imagine, just put yourself in the position, you're a commentator working for a major broadcasting network. I would have to do it. If I was working for Sky, I'd have to. I couldn't just go, I think Arsenal win the game and that's it. You have to go, there could be an upset here today. Every moment has to go, you have to create a TV show. So it's understandable.
Yeah. It's one of those, when we conceded the goal today, the first one, I was like, I expect now for Gary Neville's ooze to get longer and for him to say a few things and for the fans to get louder. You expect that. So I think that's what the Arsenal players have to prepare for. And I think they were. They knew something would happen, and once you're in the scenario, you have to dig deep. But yeah, it's just a part of the game. You have to understand it. And if you want to mute it, just press your mute button, and that's it.
Yep. Whose face is more punchable, Maddison or Richarlison? By a mile.
Romero today.
I turned
Romero today.
I turned around to pick something up and I missed the Gabriel thing.
It was nothing. I think he was
What
just
happened?
running towards him, and he must have like not elbowed him, but he's like pushed him basically.
Okay,
Neville
let's watch
thinks
it.
right. Neville thinks he headbutted him, but it was one of those where he obviously he's mistakenly seen that, and it wasn't a headbutt. But Richarlison, he's annoying, but no one really cares about him anymore, man. He's a bit irrelevant right now in the football space. He used to be, that guy that would haunt you, and a couple of years ago he would definitely scored against us. But now it's not really like that anymore. It was more Romero that was annoying me because what was he doing up front? He's like at one point he was like, you know what, Ange, I ain't playing a centre back anymore. I'm just gonna go up front.
Also, it was Gary Neville was like, "Oh, he's the biggest threat." Honestly, Romero, he's the biggest threat. I was like, the centre back's their biggest threat. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Our record against the Big Six is so good this season. Sad about this Fulham West Ham. Yeah, it's the thing. Again, is another.
It is
another
the thing.
good win
It is the thing.
top six.
However,
It's a shame, yeah.
it's a very small thing. So we have to also look at the grander scheme and go look at the amount of games we've won, the teams we've beaten. If we want a perfect season, you go invincible. Well, he ain't perfect, but we're very good right now. So of course, it's annoying to have lost against Fulham and Villa, but look, we're still very good apart from that. So it's one of those where I can't blame those two results for a title. If we go and win our next few games, which I expect us to do now, by the way, and City win their games, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think we'll have to look at it at the end of the season. Look, obviously, it's frustrating to lose those games, but if City go on their best ever run for Man City to go and win this league, and we win the rest of our games, I'd prefer to win. I'm not saying that, but we have to accept what we're up against. This is the thing. Let's come to this. Slimy. Realistically, which fixtures does City drop points?
Hopefully today.
Well, we can hope today. Who have they got left? They've got Forest.
Spurs. Spurs is the one.
Still 0-0.
Spurs is the one.
After 7 minutes, Bhavs.
I'm watching the game right now. I'm watching the game here, so I'm keeping an eye on it. But I think Spurs is the one I'm looking at because they've got a poor record.
Early kickoff on a Saturday.
They've got a poor record at Spurs away. I don't think Pep's have won there. So with that record kept in mind and the fact that look, we saw today Spurs are not a bad side. They could have easily won this game or at least caused us some issues. So we hang on there today. On another day, Spurs take a few chances. Romero stays up front and scores his goals and is their biggest threat. And Gary Neville still oohing and eyeing.
Oh, they got a lot of football to play. It's exciting. Look, we should finish with this. North London's red. As always. Was there ever a question? North London's red? There was never a question.
This was, I tweeted this. This was one of our more sloppiest performances of the season, right? And we still beat these guys. So the whole catchphrase at the start of the season, I think one of my mates, James, said, he was like, our floor is their ceiling, and it could have been more true.
They had 2 weeks to prepare, and they still couldn't beat us. Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And they were all gone at half-time.
But we're all Spurs fans. As Ronald Kunga says, we are all Spurs fans come 14th of May. And if they're still in it for the top four, I seriously think they'll give City a huge game that day. And that could be the day. That could be the day.
And I need you to do something. Champions League football's on the line. We'll see you the next season if you're there. But for now, you can stay. Was it 20 points behind us?
It's also St. Totteringham's Day, which is always a beautiful day in the calendar. So I hope you all celebrate that beautifully. Look, Bhavs, we'll finish there. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll be back for another instant reaction. When do we next play? Next Saturday? Yeah, next Saturday early against Bournemouth. 3 points?
Listen, we'll talk about that on the Cannon podcast.
Absolutely. We'll be back for a main Cannon podcast tomorrow, which will be on the main channel. We'll be back for a podcast for patrons and YouTube members during the week. Check out Bhavs' channel, Bhavs14. Check out my channel, The Different Knock. And we will see you next time. Peace.